Hello everyone, this is Brett, and this video is going to be Vinyl Tag 2023. I'm a little late to the game, but this is a series of videos that's been going around the YouTube vinyl community, started by a guy named Rob Walker. Hello Rob. I'm not positive if we've ever interacted before, but I saw your original video and I've been watching several of them and thought I'd dive in here before it turns into February. If you're new to my channel, my name is Brad. I'm a musician, music teacher, and I've been a member of the YouTube vinyl community since the early 2010s. I took a break sometime around 2015, but I've been back making videos when I can, so it's great to be a part of this and share my answers to these questions that Rob came up with. So it's 20 questions all about vinyl, music, and such. So I'm going to just start right off the list with favorite new release of 2022. I did a video on my 10 best albums of the year, and this was my number one pick. This was the new Suede record, Auto Fiction. Incredible album from one of my favorite bands of all time, Suede, or as they're known in the US, the London Suede. Check that out if you're unfamiliar. All right, last band or solo artist you saw live. I saw a few shows in 2022. The last one was in November, and we went to see Jane's Addiction. It was Poppy, then Jane's Addiction, and then Smashing Pumpkins. So technically the very last band that I saw in 2022 was the Smashing Pumpkins. As I said, we went to see Jane's Addiction. They were reunited with Eric Avery on bass, so they were absolutely incredible. Smashing Pumpkins I found to be rather lackluster, but this is their first album. Gish, yes, from 1991, their debut album. All right, next up, their first album was the best. Being in Arizona here, I had to go with Gin Blossom's New Miserable Experience, their 1992 debut album, which is really great. And if there's some aficionados are out there that are saying, wait a minute, that's not their debut album, it's Dusted from 1989, well, there's that too. They ended up re-recording a bunch of those songs, but this was released on a small independent record label back then. All right, Hat Trick. So this is showing 3 versions of the same album, vinyl, CD, and cassette. I'm getting a little self-indulgent with this one. This is my band Audra going to the theater from 2002. The vinyl came out for the first time this year, the 20th anniversary. There's the CD, and there's the cassette, all with slightly different artwork. Cassette's on a red shell here. So that's the Hat Trick. All right, let's keep it moving here. This is a major organizational process here, so 1 second. All right, let's get back to it. Let's see what we got. Okay, next one is an album that starts and ends with the same letter. My wife Sarah, before, when we were pulling out records, I was like, oh, this will be an easy one, and then it ended up being not easy at all, so we were both like scouring the collection, and then she came up with this one, and this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Empire, Queensryche's Empire, starts with an E, ends with an E, from 1990. I'm sure a lot of you know this one. The big songs on that one, Silent Lucidity, Jet City Woman, Empire. Had a ton of singles. Just best I can, great. Okay, next one. Someone born the same year as you. And this is one I had to dig deep on. But I think it's Mike Hogan. I should have written down the name. Let me see here. Mike Hogan, yes. The bass player from the Cranberries. Born the same year as me. This is the 1993 debut album from Ireland's The Cranberries. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? Of course, we lost Dolores recently, but an incredible debut album. And Mike Hogan and I were born in the same year. Few months apart, and we are both bass players. All right, next up. Most listened to album in 2022. This is kind of difficult. I stopped using Spotify, and I don't listen a lot digitally, mainly vinyl CDs, but I do listen to some digital. So I had to just kind of think about which album really got listened to the most, and that's kind of been lost to time. But I ended up choosing this one, The Colts Under the Midnight Sun. This actually came out in 2022. It was in my top 10 list of the year. Just an incredible record from The Cult. If you stop listening to The Cult after, Love, Electric, Sonic Temple, check out Under the Midnight Sun. Totally excellent. Most listened to artist in 2022. This is one that I had to ponder for some time, and then it hit me. So our cat Star is, we call him Jazz Cat, and when he's sitting in the living room during the day, we will put on jazz music because he likes to kind of chill out to that. So truly the most listened to artist that was played in 2022 was Miles Davis, and I pulled out this 10-inch Miles Davis quartet. This was, I think this was a Record Store Day release back in 2011, and really great. And I have a ton of Miles Davis stuff, so that's been playing usually digitally, just so we can keep it running all day long for Jazz Cat. So yeah, Miles Davis, the most listened to artist in 2022. Next up, an Australian artist or band. So there was just some that immediately jumped out. The Church, Midnight Oil, In Excess. Could have went with any of those, but I decided to go with a more obscure band, Died Pretty. This is their debut album from 1986. Free Dirt. This is like my favorite album right now, just in general, that I've been listening to kind of obsessively. Pretty unknown in the United States, but oh my god, this album from beginning to end is just incredible. To describe their sound is kind of near impossible. I'm just going to give you some touchstones of like the areas and bands that kind of come to mind on one song, and then it's completely different on the others. But if you cross, here we go, REM with the Velvet Underground, with the Stooges, with some like Paisley Underground bands. Opal comes to mind. Even like a Joy Division at the moment. The Doors, Bob Dylan, like all kinds of stuff. My favorite song on this is called Next to Nothing. Starts off with just kind of a nice chord progression, and then it gets kind of chaosy with some saxophone that reminds me of like the Stooges Funhouse, and then it kind of winds down and comes right back to where it starts, and then it's done. Great album. Died Pretty. If you're unfamiliar, check them out. All right, next up, a record people would be surprised you purchased in 2022. I don't know I just assume people aren't going to be surprised. I talk about all kinds of stuff because I like all kinds of stuff. But this is one that I didn't buy, but a good friend of mine gave me a bunch of records, and yeah, I kept it because it was a gift, and I think you'll probably be surprised by this one. This is Yanni. This is the album Chameleon Days, still in the shrink wrap when he bought it in, looks like August of 1988 at a place called Sound Warehouse. It was $8.99 plus tax. So Yanni, kind of new age music, digitally remastered and digitally recorded and digitally mastered. Yeah, Yanni, Chameleon Days. Maybe you're surprised by that. Who has this? Leave me a comment. All right, let's keep moving forward. Okay. All right, so here's another one. An artist or a band that you're complete on. All right, hopefully you can still hear me. I'm down here. All right, yeah. So an artist that you have the complete discography from. I'm not going to count like, singles and stuff like that, live albums. And I'm kind of a completist when it comes to bands or artists that I like. I just want to have everything. So I'm going to do a quick flip through on here. I'm going to just go from new to old. So the band I'm choosing is actually another Australian one, Dead Can Dance. So we're going to start with Dionysus. That's their most recent one. We have Anastasis, Spirit Chaser from 1996, Into the Labyrinth, Ion from 1990. We have Spleen and Ideal from 1988. Within the Realm of a Dying Sun from 1987. We have Spleen and Ideal from 1985. This was the Garden of Arcane Delights EP. I think that was 1985 also. And their debut album from 1984. So, Dead Can Dance. is one of the artists that I have the complete catalog of. If you're unfamiliar with Dead Can Dance, check them out. Most definitely. One of the greats. Next up, a great run of 3 albums. One of my favorite bands of all time, and I'll just show these really quickly. I mean, hard to rival the first 3 Jane's Addiction albums. The first one, the live album from 1987, or as the fans know it as the Triple X album, 1988's Nothing Shocking, and 1990's Ritual de la Habitual. 3 masterpieces in my opinion. Okay, 80s soundtrack. Just show one of your favorites. My good friend James Todd will appreciate this one if you're watching it. I ended up going with Grease 2. Now, I saw the original Grease in the movie theater when it came out back in, I think that was 1978. The follow-up came out in 1982 with Michelle Pfeiffer and what's his name, Maxwell Caulfield. Didi Khan is Frenchie. I love Grease 2. I know everyone's just going to say ridiculous. Grease is the better one, but I grew up watching that. It was on cable TV all the time when it came out, and so I know this soundtrack so well. Back to School Again. Cool Rider, let's do it for our country. I'll be a girl for all seasons. Excellent. Yeah, Grease 2 from 1982. All right. Oh, boy. Question 14, we lost them in 2022. So a musician, artist that passed away in 2022. There was, the immediate ones that came to mind, Mimi Parker from Low, Andrew Fletcher from Depeche Mode, and then Sarah reminded me of this one. Angelo Badalamenti, the composer, most known for working with David Lynch and many soundtracks, Blue Velvet, but I pulled out the iconic one that most people know, Twin Peaks. Angelo Badalamenti also did an album called Booth and the Bad Angel with Tim Booth, the singer of one of my favorite bands of all time, James. So there's Twin Peaks. So yeah, huge loss this year. All right, disappointing purchase in 2022. Now, it's not the album I'm disappointed with. It was just the process of getting this album. So for those of you that have been watching my channel since the early days, I've been, I did a ranking video, and I think I did it with my friend Dream Pop Jesse back in 2012, 2013, ranking The Cure. And both of us, this album has been, at the top 2 of, grails for needs a reissue. And we were pushing for that back in 2012 for a 20th anniversary edition of it. It didn't happen. So finally, in 2022, the Cure Wish album was reissued. Now, the Cure Wish, to this day, if I had to pick my favorite album, it is probably Wish. Most people probably say Disintegration or other ones, and I probably said Disintegration back in that ranking video. But if I were to pull out a Cure record at any moment, it's going to be Wish. So why am I disappointed? Well, I pre-ordered it like immediately, the second it was announced. And so I ordered it from the label in the UK, and then I started seeing copies were popping up, people were posting it. I'm like, why is this not shipped yet? So finally it shipped, and it came. And then the record, the CD, so they were reissuing a triple CD of it along with a bunch of bonus tracks, along with a reissue of the really rare Lost Wishes cassette. So, I'm waiting for this to come, super excited. It's packed in this box, and it's got a bulge in it because it wasn't properly given enough space. So the cassette, it was all kind of stacked like this. So of course, before I even open it, I'm just like, I know something's going to be totally messed up in here. So the cassette, I haven't even opened it. You can see right there, it's all kind of crushed. The CD, if you look at it, it was all crushed. So it's just like super disappointing. And so I sent an email to the record label, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks before I got a reply. And then I got a reply, do you still need assistance with this because we're super busy right now, or something like that. So finally they said they would send a replacement of the CD and the cassette. those end up coming in another envelope that wasn't adequately packed, so both of those are damaged as well. So it actually tainted the whole experience. And I have to say, I wasn't entirely like the pressing quality of this. I listened to it and it just felt like the last track on every side was just really sibilance heavy and just kind of compressed and almost, I don't know, it was kind of a downer for me. So I was really disappointed because that's something I've been looking forward to for like a long time. So I don't know if anyone else had that experience with The Cure's Wish. And, you know, it's such a favorite album, and then when it doesn't get treated properly in handling and stuff, it's just super disappointed. And maybe my copy is just not, you know, it's just a fluke. Sometimes people get a good copy, some people don't. But mine, I'm going to listen to it again and just see if maybe I have a change of opinion. But the whole process just kind of soured me, unfortunately. So yeah, but as far as the CD goes, there's tons of bonus content on the second and third CD that were definitely worth having. Demos of the songs and remixes and all that kind of stuff. So I love having that. All right, moving on. Okay, so a non-vinyl purchase, a CD or a book. So this is one that I was so happy when I saw this book pop up online. This is called, so speaking of Dead Can Dance, this is called Drumming with Dead Can Dance and Parallel Adventures by Peter Ulrich. So Peter Ulrich was the drummer in Dead Can Dance. He played on the first album. He toured with them for several years. And this is his documentation of his life, his musicianship, his whole experience tracing Dead Can Dance, even when he wasn't in the band, and just tour dates and all these details. Just a really positive, sincere, just memoir on being a musician and that experience and struggles and success, and it was just a really beautiful book. So I have a connection with Peter because Audra, as I showed the record before, both his first album, his first solo album, Pathways and Dawns, was released on Project just a couple months before the first Audra album was. So I was in touch with Peter back then when our albums came out. So I sent him an email and congratulated him on his book, and we hadn't talked to each other in like, I don't know, it's been like 20 years. So I congratulate him on his book, and he's a super nice guy. So if you're looking for a musical biography, check this one out. It was a real unexpected surprise, and it was a treat to read his story. Dead Can Dance, Drumming with Dead Can Dance by Peter Ulrich. All right, let's keep going. We've got a few more left. Question number 17, you found a grail. So this is one of those reissues. The originals were so super hard to find because 1992 was like Vinyl Dark Ages, where things were printed in really small runs, as you guys probably know. But this is the Church Priest Equals Aura, just with that beautiful album cover there. Music on Vinyl, MOV did a reissue of that, and my wife Sarah bought this one. So it's great to have that one. So a grail right there. All right, space-themed album, sleeve, or song. This is another one Sarah thought of. And this is, not only is the name of the album, but the album cover. This is Brian Eno, Apollo, Atmospheres, and Soundtracks with Daniel Lanois and Roger Eno. I remember my brother and I had this probably on CD when we were much younger and would listen to this a lot. And so I think my friend Brent he had given me it for my birthday 10 years ago. I make little notes and little cards sometimes when they're, gifts from people or special occasions that I acquired them. So yeah, there's a space-themed album. You can see the Apollo, or not the Apollo, the moon there. All right, so show some VCLT or a present. So one of my guitar students wanted to learn this song called Aaliyah, and when he said the name of it, so first off it's Donnie Iris, Back on the Streets. This album cover's ridiculous. So my student wanted to learn the song Aaliyah, and I'm like, I don't recognize the name. And then when I played it, I was like, oh, of course I remember that song. I think it's from 1980. So and he gave me a bunch of backstory on Donnie Iris. And the song is, you know, just icon. I mean, I remember my sister was probably listening to it back then because my sister was a bit older than me. But so then when Christmas rolled around, I have this in my mailbox. He found me a sealed copy of it, Back on the Streets by Donnie Iris. So that's VCLT. If you're unfamiliar with what VCLT means in the vinyl community love train, and that's the gift of just sending records to fellow members. And I have a bunch of stuff from the past, but I wanted to think of something that I got actually this year. So Donnie Iris. All right, this is the last question. Show an album released in 1973. There were some definite immediate ones that came to mind, and then the light bulb went off. My favorite Lou Reed record, Berlin, 1973. Some favorite on this one is definitely Caroline Says Part 2, sad song. Just a great one. My favorite Lou Reed record, Berlin. All right, I think I did all 20 questions there. Rob, thank you for putting this together. I'm going to have such a chore here to now recatalog this stuff. So thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to your channel. Let me know if there were any things that surprised you in there. Leave some comments, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.